G2's AD carry Hans Sama has faced what his manager has described as an absurd number of death threats after losing to Faker's T1 at MSI last week, and fans have been calling for action. So, it's been an interesting MSI so far. Last week we saw round 1 of the bracket stage, and some things were more expected than others. LCK champions Gen G beat Fnatic, that was fairly expected. LPL second seed Top Esports beat Team Liquid, that was very expected. PSG pushed LPL champions Bilibili to 5 games, that was pretty unexpected. And G2 also went the distance with reigning world champions T1. And not only that, despite the loss, they had T1 against the ropes. After T1 took first blood in the series and G2 equalized, it was they who then went on to take Game 3 and put the series on match point.
G2 will go to match point.
The last Nexus tower, merely a blip on the radar for G2. It is G2 T1.
The Emperor struck back though in Game 4 with your typical game-winning Azir shuffle from Faker. Game 5 was a much closer affair though, taking over half an hour to separate the sides with some of the most nail-biting teamfights of the whole tournament so far, but like so many teams over the past decade, G2 eventually had to watch T1 and Faker march down their nexus.
This far and no further, this close and no closer. For G2, this was the day they almost beat T1. For T1, it's just another Friday.
Heartbreaking for G2 after going 2-1 up in the series, but all things considered, not a bad performance against, again, the reigning world champions. Which is why so many were shocked on Tuesday this week to hear G2's manager say in an interview with MGG TV that AD carry Hans Sama had received multiple death threats due to his performance during the series against T1. Now allegedly, these abusive messages centered around Hans Sama's general play and itemization during the series, but we're not even going to dignify that with any details because obviously people who make death threats over people's builds in a video game are pretty disturbed. But if there's one way to shut down the haters, whether it's reasonable criticism or deranged death threats, it's to do what G2 and Hans Sama did next. The loss to T1 knocked them down to the lower bracket, where they promptly demolished PSG Talent in a little over 1 hour 18 minutes of gameplay across the 3-0 sweep. This set them up for a match against Top Esports, China's number 2 team, who found themselves in the lower bracket after a close 5-game series loss to Gen G. G2 were not the favourites going into this, but history has shown that sometimes that's just how they like it. Caps' Tristana was a joy to watch in Game 1, buffering more than my home Wi-Fi and working expertly well with the inspired Ivan pick, and Hans' Kalista to kickstart G2's momentum. Particularly impressive was their Game 2 stomp, which saw Hans Sama and Mickey X put on a stunning display, the bot lane going a combined 14-0-24.
Oh, yike with the 4-man knock! Into Hans Sama, the Mikhails, there it is!
Onto Top Esports, this might just be it!
That's it, baby!
Mickey, he's immortal!
That's it, baby! 5 for 0!
5 alive for G2, 5 dead.
You represent! Holy shit, they're doing it!
By Game 3, Top Esports seemed just as stunned as those who had doubted G2.
They will take down Top Esports and knock them out of the tournament! This was not the way today was supposed to go! This was not what was supposed to happen for Top Esports! The Nexus will finally get focused, but I think G2 want a few extra kills. Caps grabs one as Cream's back in the death chamber. There goes TN. It's a double for the Triss, make it a triple, and there goes the Nexus. A 3-0 for G2.
G2 swept aside China's second best team of the year so far. It was clinical, it was confident, it was a team that looked like they're here for the crown. Everyone on G2 played well. Yike, for example, went 5-1 and 43 in the series, which is, you know, ridiculous. But a lot of the praise deservedly went to Hans Sama for his performance going up against the legendary Jackie Love. In the most respectful way possible, Hans kinda gapped him. Hans Sama joked on Twitter after the game that him buying LDR was the reason for their victory. A classy you to the itemization death threats he'd been receiving.
LDR, LDR, LDR.
Fight, I think, was well played by Top Esports overall. I got worried for Tian.
He did it!
Now, it's great to see Hans putting on a brave face over Twitter, but obviously the death threats he's received should be disturbing to everyone in the community. Unfortunately, this isn't an isolated incident in the league scene. T1 have received many death threats over the years, including numerous threats made specifically to Faker when he and his team were seen to be falling short. We also saw a similar thing happen to the partners of Bwipo and Upset on Fnatic after Worlds 2021. It's a plague upon the league community and esports in general. What can be done about it, and what motivates those behind these kind of threats probably deserves its own video. For now though, G2 are alive at MSI. They've made it to the final few teams. Hans Sama has had some of the performances of the tournament, but next comes their chance for redemption against T1. On Friday, the two teams will face each other once again. G2 are on a bit of a roll, having won 6 and lost 0 in their last 2 series. But if you've ever heard of T1 and that guy Faker, you'll know they like to crush dreams for breakfast.
Maybe talk about who do you think's gonna win?
I was gonna do that, yeah. I think G2's gonna win.
Really?
I do. I think. I think they'll win 3-1, and I think they're gonna win the whole thing. Oh, that's a prediction.